In Blanca, a mysterious tycoon was revered for his wealth and charm. Little did his admirers know that appearances can be deceiving. Marco, the rich and friendly neighbor, was the envy of all the kids. But what sinister act led to his untimely death? Stick around as we bring you the thought-provoking tale of Abdelhadi Marco Yaqout, widely known as King of Marbella. Walking down the little town in the sunset, you'll realize what a lovely place the Spanish town of Blanca is. Perhaps that's why even notorious gangsters with dirty deals on their records find the place clean enough to stay, and with money, which these criminals have in abundance, they can splurge all they wanted. But more than the glitz, there's a dark thing about this lovely city that calls out to kingpins across Spain. And where elements of chaos exist, there's bound to be a tragedy from which not even the notable King of Marbella Marco could escape. Marco was born in 1969 in his Moroccan hometown of Caurigba, an hour's drive from Casablanca. After relocating to Spain in the 80s with his family, he studied business economics and dreamed of starting his firm. After realizing that Spaniards could have trouble pronouncing his original Moroccan name, he changed it to Marco and was poised to take over Costa Blanca. He got his start in the service industry as a waiter, but by the turn of the century, he had opened his watering hole. Over the years, Marco amassed a string of Golden Mile establishments under his ownership. The Golden Mile is a stretch of coastline in Marbella known for its abundance of high-end eateries, hotels, and nightclubs. Marco has numerous connections, and one notable individual among them is Wayne Lineker, the Englishman and brother of ex-footballer Gary Lineker. Wayne Lineker holds a prominent position in the European restaurant and nightlife scene, establishing himself as a significant player. Within Marbella, Marco has been involved in managing operations at Wayne's establishments, namely the Portside Cafe and Tibu Beach restaurants. If you are acquainted with the Golden Mile, it's possible that you have dined or enjoyed drinks at one of Marco's establishments. Was Marco's source of income solely the hospitality industry? Or did he also dabble in other ventures? Hold on, we'll get to that shortly. But before then, let's look into the events leading to Marco's death. In the first theory, Marco returned home on January 21st, 2019, at around 3:30 p.m. He was the proud owner of a black Bentley Cabrio bearing British registration, which he fancied driving around. It is worth noting that the Bentley had a right-hand drive configuration, a feature unique to British vehicles. Marco parked his car and got out, oblivious to what was about to dawn on him. But before he could make the slightest sense of what it was, a hitman lurking behind a trash can sprinted up to him. This man released around 20 bullets in seconds, 14 of which hit Marco. Marco attempted to exit his vehicle by the left passenger door, but everything happened too quickly. There was no way he could win. The man bolted to a waiting Volkswagen Golf down the street and sped away. In due time, the remains of Marco would be uncovered by a passerby, charred and lifeless. A witness immediately called the police and ambulance, but by the time they arrived, it was clear it was too late. Marco just died at the young age of 49. In the districts surrounding Marbella, he had a high profile. After what happened on January 21st, 2019, authorities needed to investigate possible causes and suspects. Many speculations were made as to the causes and perpetrators of Marco's misfortune, but the reality remained elusive. The Spanish police immediately looked into Marco's phone records and surveillance footage, but found nothing suspicious. Also, Spanish media sites dug deep into his life after his death, uncovering fascinating details. The city of Oujda, in Morocco, was reportedly the focus of a narcotics investigation, and Marco was mentioned as a prime suspect. The news took aback many people who knew him through one of his businesses because they had always assumed that he was simply a passionate businessman. He was frequently seen mingling with patrons at his various drinking establishments. Marco always went above and above to provide a VIP experience for the wealthy and famous people who were important to him. Marco was buried in Caurigba, Morocco, at the end of January 2019, not long after the tragedy. His dual existence would be uncovered over the next few days and weeks. Marco assisted political figures from Morocco and Spain in negotiating the purchase of real properties. The Moroccan Times claims that millions in illegal funds would be used to finance these transactions. In addition, the Spanish police revealed some new, very intriguing information. They claimed Marco worked with criminals from around Europe in the narcotics trade. In the criminal world, Marco had connections in Spain, the Netherlands, France, and even Ireland. Marbella was home to Daniel Kinahan and a large group of his friends and allies. His familiarity with Marco just added fuel to the fire, and the Spanish police looked into the possibility that Daniel Kinahan ordered the hit on Marco. As things started to heat up, the police eventually discovered they were business partners. Marco only used his establishments to launder a large sum for the Kinahans. A Dublin insider claims to know the real reason Marco was murdered. He claimed that Samir Scarface's gang was responsible for the murder. We need to go back 5 years to learn more about this kingpin. In August 2014, in Benahavas, Spain, at a cafe called All in One, a Moroccan named Samir Scarface was murdered. Samir was a major player across Europe. Once he met Naufal F. and Najib Haimish, 2 other Moroccan criminals living in Amsterdam, at the cafe. There is speculation that these 2 were complicit in a kill on Samir Scarface ordered by someone higher up, with rumors pointing to Rico, a Chilean with ties to the Kinahans as both a trusted associate and a major supplier of cocaine. Naufal became a trusted friend during this time as well. Does that sound like a coincidence? Well, many don't think so. The source then returned to the death of Marco, saying that it was payback for the treatment that Samir had received. In 2019, the Kinahan family and most associates relocated to Dubai, leaving only Marco in Marbella. It is important to remember that while it is possible, but not certain, that the rumor is accurate, we will probably never find out. Samir's death and Marco's passing are separated by 5 years. It doesn't usually take 5 years for the underworld to have its revenge, especially not on someone who has wronged such a powerful kingpin as Samir. The timing of retribution is usually faster and is directed at higher-ups in the underworld. In the second theory, the island was in the midst of a serious feud in 2019. Daniel Kinahan is mentioned prominently in this rumor once again. Moreover, this speculation is far more reasonable than the others floating about. Russian hitmen targeted one of Daniel Kinahan's financial men in Portugal in 2017. It was a bust. Many members of the Kinahan cartel panicked and fled to Dubai, intending to avoid further violence. As a result, Marco found himself living alone in Marbella. No one was safe with the Kinahans not backing him up and the rivalry on the Costa Blanca running amok. Marco may have been the victim of an unprovoked attack because he had even the slightest connection to one of the feuding parties. By 2020, 6 suspects were in custody for the assassination attempt on Marco. 4 of them were en route to committing another hit, while the police apprehended the other 2 suspects in the Netherlands. All of them were members of a Dutch commando unit that was available for rent and, if asked, would terminate anyone with no questions asked. What are thoughts on Marco's story? Leave a comment below and be a part of the discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating content. Click here to watch the fascinating story of Rafael Imperiale.